Have you just had an anniversary, I believe? Is it 11 years?
11 years. They said it wouldn't last. Come on, man. They took her to dinner, and then we had a really nice, beautiful anniversary party. It was nice.
Yes, it was lovely.
There are love stories Hollywood manufactures, and then there are love stories Hollywood worships. George and Amal Clooney were worshipped. The perfect gentleman, the brilliant human rights lawyer, the twins, the mansions, the red carpet glow, the fairy tale. But like every fairy tale written under the glare of 1,000 camera flashes, there comes a moment when the illusion cracks. And what spills through that crack is not scandal, not betrayal, but something older, colder, and far more devastating. The kind of silence that sits between two people who once moved mountains for each other. The kind that creeps in over years, not days. The kind that destroys marriages without ever raising its voice. Tonight, you're going to hear the story behind that silence. The truth hidden behind George Clooney's smile, and the quiet unraveling of a marriage that once felt untouchable. Stay with me, because this is not gossip. This is a warning about what happens when time, ambition, and aging pull two extraordinary people in opposite directions. For decades, George Clooney wasn't just an actor. He was the symbol of American masculinity. Sharp, charming, unshakably confident, and proudly alone. After his first marriage to actress Talia Balsam imploded in the 1990s, Clooney swore off marriage for good. His friends joked about it. He joked about it. He even made bets, literal bets, that he'd never walk down the aisle again. And honestly, most people believed him. He was happy as the Golden Bachelor, traveling the world, hosting political fundraisers, sleeping in one city, waking in another. A life built on freedom, not roots. But loneliness is a quiet hunter. It doesn't attack loudly. It waits. And it finds you when the parties end, when the friends go home, when the lights are off, and all that's left is a big empty house and a man who keeps pretending he doesn't hear the echo. George heard it, but like many proud men, he ignored it until the night fate walked into his Lake Como villa, wearing a black dress and carrying a resume that could humble world leaders. Her name? Amal Clooney. She was nothing like Hollywood, nothing like the actresses he dated, nothing like the world George had mastered. Oxford educated, UN advisor, international attorney, defender of war crime victims, a woman who walked into a room like she belonged everywhere and needed no one. George Clooney, the man other men envied, found himself floored, rattled, and completely outmatched. He once said, "When she walked in, something shifted. It was instant. He chased her the old-fashioned way, handwritten letters, thoughtful messages, the kind of sincerity men bring out only when they're terrified of losing someone extraordinary." 7 months later, the sworn bachelor was kneeling on one knee, begging a woman to marry him while his 52-year-old knee went numb on the kitchen floor. She said yes, and just like that, the man who avoided responsibility for 20 years became a husband, a father, and the head of a glamorous intellectual power couple, more iconic than anything Hollywood had written in decades. But here's the thing no one understood. Transformation is easy. Maintenance is not. For a time, everything looked perfect. Their wedding in Venice was a global spectacle. Twin babies arrived in 2017. They built homes on 3 continents, a quiet estate in France, the legendary Lake Como villa, a townhouse in New York, a mansion in England. They launched a justice foundation. Amal argued before the UN. George produced political films. The tabloids worshipped them. But behind this glittering empire was a truth every adult knows. Two ambitious lives don't always grow in the same direction. And by 2023, their directions had begun to shift, quietly, slowly, devastatingly. Amal's career accelerated. She began teaching at Oxford, handling high-stakes international cases, living in a world of academia, diplomacy, and courtroom rigor. George was aging. Show business ages people quickly, especially men who spent their youth outrunning commitment. At 64, the mirror doesn't flatter. The body doesn't cooperate. The energy doesn't keep up. And with every award Amal collected, with every victory she won on the world stage, George felt a little more like he was falling behind. He once joked, "She's running ahead, and I'm just trying to keep up." Except it wasn't a joke. Not anymore. 2025 became the year their fairy tale began to truly fracture. Amal lived mostly in England now, teaching, litigating, leading panels, raising the twins in a structured academic lifestyle. George lived in New York, preparing for his first Broadway performance, a lifelong dream, but one that demanded all his energy and left him wandering alone through a city too loud for a man craving peace. They weren't separated by emotion at first. They were separated by purpose and geography and exhaustion. Long-distance marriages aren't built for the faint of heart, not even when you're George and Amal Clooney. The tabloids called it a trial separation. Their friends called it fading apart. And that was exactly what it was. Not a fight, not a betrayal, just fading. The kind of fading older audiences know too well, when communication shrinks, when routines take over, and when silence becomes the most dangerous sound in the house. George Clooney had been sober for years. For Amal, for the children, for himself. But loneliness changes a man. Especially a man who once lived on charm, nightlife, and companionship. At the 2025 Tony Awards, George slipped. Not a gentle slip, a full relapse. He drank like a teenager, trying to numb everything at once. The public laughed it off. Classic Clooney. Charming, reckless, playful. But Amal didn't laugh. To her, it wasn't a funny headline. It was a warning signal. It was the old George, the pre-Amal George. When she confronted him, she didn't yell, didn't threaten, didn't dramatize. She simply said, "I'm not willing to overlook this." And that sentence cut deeper than any argument could, because it told George something he was terrified to admit. He was losing his grip on his sobriety, on his marriage, on the very life he built. Their estate in Provence should have healed them. Olive trees, quiet nights, family memories, a place built for peace. Instead, it became the place where silence grew louder than ever. Amal worked from her study. George walked the gardens with a glass he promised he'd put down after one sip, then after two, then after three. Their conversations became polite, shallow, functional. Talk about the twins, talk about travel plans, talk about logistics, but never about us, never about the marriage, never about the pain. Love hadn't died, but connection had. And connection once lost rarely comes back without a fight neither of them had the strength to start. By late 2025, rumors were everywhere. Divorce, trial separation, irreconcilable ambitions. Neither of them denied it. They didn't confirm it either. They simply let the silence speak for them. George finally opened up in an interview. Quietly, honestly, painfully. He said, "Sometimes you can sit across from the person you love and feel miles away." That wasn't a confession. That was heartbreak in its purest form. A man admitting that something sacred had slipped from his fingertips. Not because of infidelity, not because of scandal, but because of time, distance, and the slow erosion of two extraordinary lives moving at different speeds. Their appearance at the 2025 Venice Film Festival looked perfect, hand in hand, smiling, elegant, effortless. But anyone who has lived long enough knows, sometimes the most beautiful smiles hide the deepest sadness. Sometimes the strongest couples break without shouting. And sometimes love doesn't end with drama. It ends with distance. So the question is not, are George and Amal together? The real question is, can love survive when ambition, age, and silence pull two people apart?